Hello everyone, and let's do a book talk for Dead of Winter, written by Darcy Coates. This is a standalone novel. This particular one was published in 2013, and this is an adult horror thriller mystery. It is told in first person from this perspective of Krista. When I read this book, there was an audiobook available when I physically read this. I listened to this while I read along via Everand. It is narrated by Emily Ellett, and it is 11 hours and 17 minutes on standard one-time speed. So, what is this book about? Without spoiling anything, we are following Krista. She goes on this vacation with her boyfriend. They go into the Rocky Mountain type area, and they're on this bus with a bunch of different strangers. They come across this tree that has fallen across the road. The tour bus guide is like, well, you know, here's the options. So they decide they're going to go and try and get the tree, chop it down into smaller manages so that, so they can move it. And the girls are playing in the furnace room, knocking stuff over. Anyway, so they can get enough chunks of this tree out of the way to get the bus through to go to their final destination, which is this lodge in this in the mountains. And while they're doing that, Krista and her boyfriend decide they want to do a little sightseeing in the mountains to stay close to the bus, though. There's a sudden white snowstorm, almost like a whiteout, that hits. Krista and her boyfriend get separated, and Krista manages to find this cabin in the woods, which is pictured right here, and ends up unconscious. When she wakes up, she realizes it's the tour guide and the other people on the bus. Her boyfriend isn't there. She wants to go out and find him. And as they start to try to do that, and as time goes on, members of this group start to die. And that's it. And so it's like, well, it's an isolated setting, which means either the killer is really good at hiding or the killer is one amongst this group of people. So they're trying to survive when it is freezing cold. I mean, it's isolated. They have no way to call because even their cell phones don't work. They don't get signal. And they don't know where they are. And they're dying one by one. So that is the story as they try to figure out one who is killing each other, trying to decide if they can trust someone enough to pair up with them to try to survive, and hope beyond all hope that rescue will find them before they're all dead, with just obviously the killer standing. So that is this book. That is this without any spoilers. I will say I was not expecting the ending. The twist threw me for a loop, and I love it when I don't set out trying to figure out whodunit, basically. I don't set out trying to do that. But sometimes I go, okay, I think it's this person, which I did in this case. It's like, okay, I'm kind of leery of this person. I'm kind of leaning towards this person. So I'm thinking it's one of the two. Something can happen and go, oh, okay, so maybe it was this person. And so by the end of this book, I had 3 people in mind who it could have been, who the killer could be. But then once the actual reveal happened, I was not expecting that. I was blindsided. I was not expecting it. So yeah, anyway, this edition that I read was 341 pages. What is your representation? It's up to your imagination, okay? Your representation, it's up to your imagination. And because nothing is overtly said, so I can't really say that something is definitely in here. It's just going to be up to you and your mind. As far as your content and your trigger warning, you have loss of loved one. There is a lot of talk of someone dying, of death, so people losing someone that they loved. You have blood, and you do have gore. It does get a little bit gory, so just please be aware. If you don't like any gore in your books at all, then you may want to steer clear of this. Okay, it does say this on the synopsis on the back, so I will say the gore, it's the blood, but the other thing is that there is talk of decapitation. and the head's being placed somewhere, and that is on the synopsis. You can read the synopsis if you want. So just be aware of that. And that's your content and your trigger warnings and your representation, again, up to your imagination. So, and what this book is about. Can't say anything without entering spoilers. It's really easy to spoil horror and thriller and mystery books, so I can't say too much. But what I did like about this one, there's another Darcy Coates book that I read, and I enjoyed it, but I liked this one more than the other one. The other one was Gallows Hill, I believe. I liked this one more, and I love paranormal, stuff with paranormal, but I think what had me chilled and a little bit more on the edge of my seat is that I could see something like this happening in real life. So in this case, the monster is a man. Because it's, it's an isolated setting, your options for who the killer are is very limited. So it's something that could definitely really happen in real life. And so to know that there are people in the world that could actually pull something like this off is disgusting and creepy and can be very horrific and horrifying at times. So that just added this extra layer that this is definitely something that's realistic, that definitely could happen. Would they get as far as they did? I don't know. I would like to think that people would be smart enough to pick out who the killer is, but it's a horror book. You got to have some secrets. So, okay. As far as your word usage, in case you are still kind of on the fence, we have the word damn 3 times, the word suicide 5 times. You do have suicide described, a suicide act described on page, so definitely be aware of that. That's your other content warning. The word hell 17, damn it twice, hellfire once, and damned once. Again, this edition was 341 pages, so that count as far as like word usage to page ratio will vary depending on the edition that you read. It would also vary if you read a translated edition, as sometimes certain words just cannot be translated, is my understanding. I'm not a translator in any way, but I've heard several people say certain words or phrases just don't work well with translation, so they have to come up with something else that would mean the same, but it's a different set of words type of a situation. But that's just what I've heard. How far or true that is, I don't know. Anyway, so there are 3 things that I underlined. People do strange things and for strange reasons. Sometimes there's no reason. Sometimes not even a panel of psychologists can explain why a person does something. Grief or anger is a powerful motivator. And then the last thing I underline is bad people will find their way into any career. And we see that in law enforcement, in politicians, even in education. You have people that hurt children. I was hurt by a medical doctor, and bad people find their way into any career. And that is disgusting that they do that. Whether it's the fault of the person that's hiring them for not doing a proper background check, or the fault of the actual person for being good enough to lie their way through it and deceive someone, or for something, or law enforcement or like the justice system for not reporting things accurately on someone's background if they did a thorough background check. So I don't know. Anyway, that's a whole different can of worms and stuff. But yeah, so Dead of Winter. Let me know if you've read this book. Did you enjoy it, or was it not for you? Have you read books from this author? Is Darcy's writing for you or no? Now, before I let you go, I'm just going to read the very short about the author right here. It says, Darcy Coates is the USA Today best-selling author of more than a dozen horror and suspense novels. She lives in the central coast of Australia with her family, cat, and a collection of chickens. Her home is surrounded by rolling wilderness on all sides, and she wouldn't have it any other way. Good for you. Good for her. If it's where she absolutely loves and would not have it any other way, excellent. Glad she found that and was able to achieve that dream. So anyway, yes, let me know if you have not read this or anything by Darcy Coates. Is this something, if you are interested in horror thriller, is this something that you would be intrigued to pick up? Definitely let me know. If not, and it's a pass for you, there is no shame in that. Definitely let me know. Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I will talk to you later. Hi, Polly. Say hello.